Adventures Without a Roadmap here. We are going to discuss with you today our trip to Edisto Beach in South Carolina, which is now one of my new favorite beaches. It was very random that we ended up going there. It wasn't the plan. Well, it wasn't not the plan. We were just looking for a beach to go to, and James had found a hotel for there, and so yeah, we didn't really know what to expect. And so there's a bay side and there is also the Atlantic side, and so we spent all of our time on the bay.
It's a little bit south of Charleston and north of Savannah, Georgia. So Charleston, South Carolina, it's a little bit south of there, and it's a little bit north of Savannah, Georgia. You had to kind of go on these crazy roads to get to the beach, and we checked into our hotel. Yeah, so we both kind of took a nap, and Kate got some instructions about
where to find dolphins.
Where to find dolphins at. To your east is going to be the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and then when you go further to the west, there is kind of like a little cove area where
there's like a river and marshes, and it meets like this bay area.
And so from our hotel, it was probably about a 10-minute walk, maybe.
Pretty easy to do. And there was a bike path we could follow.
Yeah. And,
we walked down the sketchy road first, and then we found the bike path.
And so on this beach, there were lots of seashells. So we made it to this public access beach, and we kind of just walked up. And when we walked up, it was more high tide, so we were like, oh, there's not much beach, it's just water. And so we saw lots and lots of seashells, and when we got closer to where the river connects the bay area, we were able to see little fins, and so
dolphins!
We were able to find dolphins, and we were going around closer to sunset, so I think it was around 5 or 6 p.m. when we got out there, and we just kind of hung out and observed and watched that area for about 4 hours or so.
We had to
until sunset.
Watch behind us, because all of a sudden the area we were at got taken over by high tide, and so we had to run up on the viewing area of the hotel behind us, and so we watched the dolphins, for like 4 hours until it was pitch black out, and there were so many dolphins that night. There were like, I don't know, huge pods of dolphins, probably like 20 of them or something, and they were just, it was amazing to see, and they were like playing and splashing the water with their tails, and they would glide in and out of the water, and we could see the moms and their calves.
Yeah, it seemed like there was about,
amazing.
To me, it felt like there was around 30 to 40 dolphins, all in the same area. And so Kate and I have only seen just a handful of dolphins near the Destin, Florida area. We were able to see them, but definitely not to this extent, and definitely not this close. And so we were just very excited, and thought it was really cool to see these dolphins, because obviously living in Colorado and Kansas our whole lives, we haven't had a whole lot of exposure with them. And they were feeding, they were eating lots and lots of fish in that area, and the little baby dolphins will kind of be really close to their moms, and they'll actually be there with their moms for 2 to 3 years, and just follow them around and observe and learn from their moms. And so we definitely saw several moms and babies in that area. And we were also able to watch the sunset that night. As we were walking out to the beach area before, there were all these little crabs running around on the ground, so we were also able to see those. And so
they were really cute, cool. And some of them had giant claws.
After we watched the sunset, we then walked back on the beach, and we saw people with their flashlights and stuff, and so then you're able to find all these what kind of
giant crabs. I don't know what kind of crabs they were. They were white. I don't know if they were the blue crabs, or I don't know what kind of crabs they were, but they were huge and
their eyes
white.
Are massive.
Their eyes stuck up like aliens on top of their heads,
We saw several of them, and there were different sizes.
And they were like Matt said, some of them were like this big. They were really big, and so we saw a lot of crabs.
So yeah, we were able to watch the sunset. That night was our best viewing night of the dolphins, and it was just really cool watching how many there were. Like, we were expecting it to be more like Destin, where we saw maybe like 4 to 5 dolphins. You have to open your door. But seeing like 30 dolphins in that same area, and they were consistent, so they were like in that area all the time, and so seeing that was just like really, really amazing and cool to watch. So then the next morning we decided that we were going to wake up early and watch the sunrise, and so we woke up, luckily, happened to look at my phone and wake up a little bit before the sunrise, and outside our hotel room were about 6 deer. And
they were going onto the golf course.
Yeah, we were like right by this golf course. And then we saw 2 more as well as we walked by the marina area.
And we had seen tracks in the dirt the day before, and so I knew there were deer in the area, but we hadn't seen any. And so that was pretty cool. It was like first thing in the morning we saw deer. And then, yeah, we kept walking and we went to the same area where we watched the sunset. Not sure what the sky would look like for that, but somehow, like, I don't know how the whole direction thing worked, because I thought the sun would be rising over the Atlantic, but it rose right to the right of where it had. We watched the sunset here, and then over here, standing in the same spot, you could see the sun rising. So, and the dolphins were out again, so we watched the dolphins while we watched the sunrise. So that was pretty awesome.
And I believe the tide was coming in again at that time. So when we first got out there, there was a little bit of beach, but then as the morning progressed, the tide became higher. And so then there was like still like hardly any beach area. And we learned later on that the dolphins are pretty active too when it's more low tide.
Because the fish get pushed out by the tide, and then the dolphins scoop them up. And so the following day when we went out at about 10 o'clock in the morning, there were tons of dolphins out because that was when low tide was happening. And so they weren't actually super active during the actual sunrise, but they were really active once the tide went out.
And then the beach area was like massive when it was low tide. The second night when we were watching like the sunset, it was supposed to be a very, very high tide where there's going to be like flooding and stuff in the area. And so at that time we had not seen like the whole beach area at all. So we were just like not really thinking of this as a beach. And so when we did go out the next day, on the day we were leaving, the beach area was just like massive.
It was huge.
Like, it felt like you were like really, really close to the dolphins. And so that was really cool. And
the second night though, during the sunset, there were like no dolphins. I mean, we saw like 5. We saw them moving around some, but we didn't see nearly the activity we'd seen the night before. So, not really sure why that is. I don't know. It was a strawberry moon. I don't know if it was something to do with the tides and stuff.
Yeah, it was an extremely high tide as well.
So there were not as many dolphins that night.
They said they were more active during the middle of the day, and that probably would have been during like the low tide. But we were sleeping since we stayed up all night and were watching one of our shows. So
we watched a bird. We spent some time walking the beach, and there was a snowy egret. It's a white bird with black legs and yellow feet, and it runs and it catches little little bugs in the sand, but then it also catches fish, and it's like my spirit animal. It's very spastic, and it like runs, and then it like tilts its head, and it like sees something, and then it runs really fast, and it like shoves its beak into the water, and it comes up with a fish. And so we saw it catching this silvery fish, and then we're like, well, that was a cool rare moment. And then all of a sudden it like caught another one, and then by the time we were done watching it in like 5 minutes or something, it had caught 6 fish, which was crazy. And there was even one fish that it caught it, and then it like dropped it back on the beach and just left it there. And so I went and took a picture of it, and it was like this giant flat fish, like pretty big, and I don't know if it was just too big and flat for the bird to eat, and so it knew it couldn't eat it as well, because there were a few times it would eat a fish and then it would like, you could see there would be like a bulge in the bird's neck as it was like trying to swallow the fish. So that was pretty cool to see, and then I got to see the fish right up on the shore until the tide took it away.
Also, like in these little pools of water, you could see those little silvery fish all jumping together, which was
they were like floating.
They were like jumping. They were like jumping on the water, which is crazy.
It was crazy. There were like 20 of them. And then the day we left, we saw like tons of hermit crabs. And so we were looking at shells, and we'd pick up the shells, and all of a sudden we'd see a hermit crab in it. And so there were tons of hermit crabs of all different sizes. There were tiny little ones, and then there were like some in like giant shells. And it was a really muddy area. It was like really mucky and like super muddy. And so I was walking around closer to the water, and I stumbled upon a starfish. So I called James over, and he looked at the starfish too, along with me. And so we were watching the starfish. I mean, we've seen like birds fishing, we've seen crabs, dolphins. We saw the hermit crabs. And then when there were some people walking like next to the water line, and they pointed out a horseshoe crab. Was it a horseshoe crab? Horseshoe crab. And one of the giant crabs with like the long skinny tail, and it was in the water, and the lady kind of messed with it a little bit, and then I videotaped it like swimming off, which was pretty cool. So there was just a ton of sea life. We saw tons of jellyfish dried up and washed onto the shore, which was James' favorite part. He loves the jellyfish.
They look really disgusting to us.
And we spent a lot of time like hunting for seashells and stuff. It was just one of the most like fascinating beaches I've been to, where there's just so much wildlife and stuff. On the day we left, we pulled over at a beach access point. There's a ton of beach access points on the Atlantic Ocean side. And so we pulled over at one just so we could see what the ocean looked like. And there were big waves, and you could boogie board. There were tons of people out boogie boarding. There were some giant like boulders and rocks that would like go out into the ocean in certain spots. But that area looked like a normal beach with like the waves, because the bay side didn't really have like waves like that one did. And so
no, it was really cool, that area, because you could see the sunset and the sunrise in that same spot. And apparently it's a safer area as well, because apparently there's been like quite a bit of sharks on the Atlantic Ocean side of it, and so apparently the sharks don't really bother the dolphins too much. And so in the future it'd be really cool to either paddleboard or canoe or do
kayak or something
kayak
to the
close to those dolphins.
And you can like kayak and paddleboard and stuff through like the marshy areas and stuff, where apparently someone saw a manatee there like a week ago, and so that's pretty cool. I mean, it's just like this crazy thriving ecosystem of nature, and so that was a really cool beach that we definitely plan to go back to. It was definitely up there on one of our favorite like naturey places to go to.
Yeah, there wasn't like a whole lot of like tourism stuff as far as like shops. There was a few shops and stuff, but it wasn't like really like,
there were several restaurants.
There wasn't a lot of like name brand stuff, so there wasn't like your Taco Bell and McDonald's and all that stuff. It was more just kind of
at least on the island. It's like a little tiny retirement community kind of. And then there is a place called Botany Bay where you can go and you can tour like these plantations and go to the beach there, where you can't take the seashells. And then you can also go to the state park, which costs money. And so we didn't do either of those things. We found plenty to entertain us at right there at the bay. And so we definitely plan on going back there again and staying in the same area we stayed. Luckily, we were in one of the hotels that was really close to the bayside, and so we could have gotten put in one of the hotels like way away from it. And so we were really fortunate to be so close to the bay, where we could go watch the sunrise and the sunset, and and then go looking for the crabs. So definitely would recommend that beach if you're ever in the South Carolina area. Even just stopping there and parking at the beach access to go watch the sunset would definitely be worth it. And so,
yeah, there's different public beach access points where you can like park at and stuff as well.
you can also rent bikes and golf carts.
Apparently, you have to drive exactly the speed limit because the police will pull you over, I guess, if you are driving even a little bit over the speed limit. So just gotta be careful there as well. And there's also a golf course, bike trails, I guess, all that kind of stuff in that area. And it was just really, really pretty. And we were glad we were able to check that area out, and so we definitely want to go back and explore it more, and hopefully bring a paddleboard with us as well, so we can get closer to the Dolphins.
Definitely putting it on the list as a place that we are planning on returning to this time with the paddleboard. So yeah, that's our stay at Edisto Beach. Again, footage will be coming for that, so stay tuned, and hopefully you can make it out there one day. Let us know in the comments if you've been there, or if it's somewhere that you think you'd be interested in going. And
the temperature when we were there was about 80 degrees the whole day, the time we were there in the middle of June. And I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. You can also swim in that area if you want. The weather, the water's kind of dark-ish, I guess. And then if you go on the ocean side, there's going to be more waves and stuff, so just kind of be up to you.
There is a lot of wildlife in the water.
We also saw a lot of jellyfish, and so we didn't actually go swimming in that area.
Jellyfish and the horseshoe crab and all that stuff. So.
But there were people that were swimming in the water, so yeah.
So definitely check it out. Let us know what you think, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.